opens eyes? Do you believe in a God that tells you lies, or do you believe in me? Do you believe in a God that brings you down? Do you believe in a God that wears the ground? Do you believe in a God that makes you bow, or do you believe in me? Do you believe in a God that satisfies? Do you believe in a God that opens eyes? Do you believe in a God that tells you lies, or do you believe in me? Do you believe in a God that brings you down? Do you believe in a God that wears the ground? Do you believe in a God that makes you bow, or do you believe in me?
It's beyond common sense. It's Lanny Sense with Lanny Swerdlow, KCAA's resident gay, woke, liberal, pot-smoking, race-mixing, tree-hugging, left-handed, science-affirming, Jewish, humanist, atheist, a white evangelical Christian nationalist, worst nightmare. Hey, welcome to Lanny Sense Show. We are so glad you have taken the time out of your busy schedule to join us here today. And we're going to have a great show. I'm going to have some great topics. Joining us in the studio is our Sam Clowder, our progressive curmudgeon and famed filmmaker and director, Gregory Franklin. Thank you guys for joining us here tonight in the studio. And our virtual... That's our virtual
studio. It's not broadcasting. It's black on the screen.
Is it really? Well, it's not black for me.
Now it's on. It's on now.
Okay, then don't worry about it. Hey, I'm sure you're probably seeing us, not just black screens. If you're not seeing us, you're not missing much. But listen, you can hear us, and that's the important thing. That's the important thing. Okay. Hey, listen. If you would like to call in and chime in and talk about anything you'd like to talk or add about what we're talking about and chatting about, our phone lines are, in theory, working tonight. We understand that last week they weren't working, and so forth and so on. Let me see. Okay, and to the number, we got a caller on line 1, so we'll get to line 1, but this person already knows. But listen, I'm going to give you our call-in numbers if you want to join us. It's 909-383-1000. That's one number, 909-383-1000. And if you can't get through on that number, then try 909-383-3000, 909-383-9000. Yes, it's 1000 and 9000. 909-383, either 1000 or 9000. Thank you so much. We're going to get to we got a caller on line 1. We're going to get to our caller in just a few minutes, but I want to go ahead with my lead story for tonight, and it's really a hot one. Apparently, Carolyn Kennedy calls cousin RFK Jr. a predator ahead of confirmation hearing. Now, listen to this story. It's really unbelievable. Carolyn Kennedy, now let me put my other glasses on so I can read this a little better. Here we go. Oh, much better. Carolyn Kennedy, cousin to the current pick for Health and Human Services Secretary, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., penned a scathing letter warning senators about the danger her relative poses if elected to power, and calls him a, quote, predator, end quote. Quote, Carolyn Kennedy wrote, quote, I have known Bobby my whole life. We grew up together. It's no surprise that he keeps birds of prey as pets because he himself is a predator, end quote. She wrote before going on to say that his victims have included family members and the parents of sick children. A copy of the letter was sent to lawmakers ahead of Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s confirmation hearing this Wednesday, presumably in hopes of deterring his appointment. Carolyn alleges that, quote, his crusade against vaccination, end quote, has served to benefit him financially, and that his actions are hypocritical to what he publicly states. She said that he has discouraged parents from vaccinating their children while in fact vaccinating his own children. He has also influenced other members of the Kennedy family down the path of drug addiction, the letter alleged. She also stated that her father, President John F. Kennedy, and her uncle, former U.S. Attorney General Robert F. Kennedy, would be, quote, disgusted, end quote, by the actions of her cousin. Carolyn began the letter by explaining that she had been reluctant to openly comment on her cousin's politics, but now feels an obligation to speak out due to her cousin's bid for Secretary of Health. The letter was posted on Instagram by Carolyn's son, writer Jack Schlossenberg. This is not the first time the former U.S. ambassador to Australia has warned the public about her relative's conspiratorial views. Despite her hesitance to speak publicly about her family, she told reporters after a speech to the National Press Club in Canberra, Australia, that she believed, quote, Bobby Kennedy's views on vaccines are dangerous, end quote. And yes, they are. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is among Trump's most controversial cabinet picks, with even Republican senators that support Trump finding his anti-vaccine stance to be questionable. Kennedy can only afford to lose 3 Republican votes to be confounded. Well, anyway, isn't that interesting? What really got me isn't so much that he's a predator, but that he had vaccinated his own children, So he knows the importance of vaccination. And why he's on this crusade against it is absolutely insanity. And of course, very, 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 very dangerous. Gregory, Sam, any comment?
None of these people are qualified to do those jobs. I mean, it's almost like you have to have like a criminal record or at least a shady background in order to make it to the cabinet.
Well, one of the major things that many of the Trump's appointees share is that they're sexual predators, like Trump himself. I mean,
I happened to watch the Hegseth confirmation hearings, and he is a real piece of work. I mean, I learned a few things, but yeah, he's a sexual predator and a pretty serious alcohol addict.
Well, what do we expect from a president who's busy groping women and
grabbing them by the stuff?
Yeah, you're grabbing their pussy. You can say, I don't know, maybe we're not supposed to say that. Well, but listen, it's okay to say it because our president said it, right?
Yeah, of course. There you go.
He's a role model for children. Role model for children. I can just see him telling boys, hey, you can grab them by the pussy. You can do anything. That's what he said.
He did say that.
Yes, he did. He absolutely said that. It's on tape. He said it. And he never apologized for saying it. Never apologized.
This is the first time in history that we've had a convicted felon as president of the United States.
Yeah, I guess we've had some sexual predators beforehand. Maybe that's not so new, but convicted felons new.
But if 1 in 10 people are gay, then there had to be at least 1, possibly 2 presidents who were gay.
Oh yeah, yes, there's been I can't think of which one it was. Was it
Harrison?
Yeah, maybe there was a president. Well, listen,
Abraham Lincoln.
That's true. There was this wonderful play that I saw here in Palm Springs called can't you think what it was?
There's a really highly rated biographical documentary that was released on him this last year that identified Abraham Lincoln as being gay. Actually, bisexual because they had children, but his preference was a man. That was.
He was associated with a guy named Tolson. I guess his last name was Tolson. His boyfriend.
The FBI director Edgar J. Hoover. Yes. Well, let's not conflate being gay with sexual predators.
Yeah, that's a whole different subject.
Okay. Hey, listen, we have a caller on line 1. So, Eric, you want to let our caller in here to talk with us? Is our caller there?
It's Linda Solis.
Oh, hi, Linda.
Hi.
We're so glad.
Hi, Lanny.
So glad you actually called in today. Our lines are working tonight. So listen, anybody else who's listening that want to call in, you can join the free-for-all. Once again, 909-383-1000, 909-383-9000. What brings you on tonight, Linda?
The video.
Video?
Your podcast has a video, but it only shows the week before, not live. At least I can't get it live.
Well, we're live here now.
Yeah, you could tune in on kcaaradio.com to watch the live stream currently.
I did, and I'm not able to get anything but last week, the week before. I'm not able to get the live one. So
you have to click on KCA. You have to click on the thing that says "Listen Live" on the upper left-hand corner. It says "Listen Live," And you click on that, and that takes you to this show right here.
Let them know, Lanny.
I let them know. That's the whole point of this show, is to let them know.
Yes.
And about that, listening live, and a whole bunch of. Anyway, Linda, what do you want to talk about? What's up? What's going on?
Well, I just I spoke to your co-host a little while back, and I sensed a little disgust with our system, and rightfully so. And my nature is such that whatever the problem is, I'll find a way around it. So I keep trying to find reasons for for moving ahead. And one of my goals is that your show gets more listeners, and we invite people to, especially people who didn't vote, either didn't vote at all or voted third party, but were Democrats and were left-wingers. There were a lot of left-wingers who were disgusted with our position on Gaza and the rest of it. So I think they need to tell us what they want from us as Democrats, and then we need to make note of that and try to push the party in that direction.
Well, there's no doubt that one of the reasons Trump won was because so many Democrats did not come out and vote.
I'm not really sure about that, Lenny. I do want to jump in on that.
Okay, jump in.
There's a reporter by the name of Greg Palast who was documenting how many people that would likely vote Democrat were taken off of the voter rolls or having their ballots questioned. I don't think there was that fewer Democrats voting as much as I think that those votes were dismissed for being challenged. GregPalast.com.
So he's saying that actually there's a lot of votes out there that didn't get counted.
Because they were challenged by Republicans.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I'm not surprised, because I don't know if it's North Carolina. There's some judge that was running against a Republican, and she won, but he told the Secretary of State to throw out 60,000 votes, and so there was a lawsuit around that. I don't know what the results were, but if that happened there, my guess is all the swing states, it's questionable that the election, Trump had 4 years of building an infrastructure, making it happen. Everything he says we're doing, he's doing,
He's had longer than that. I just did on my podcast on YouTube. I just lined up the Republican presidents since Nixon and showed how this has been a growing, that the Republican Party has been trying to do this for like 65 years, I guess it would be.
Right.
It's on The View from Out Here on YouTube, and I explain it all there.
Okay, I'm going to look at that.
Yes, I know. One of the things that I know that you were talking about, Linda, was, we've got the immigration going on now. Thousands of people are being rounded up and being sent back. And you said there was some kind of a card that was available.
Yeah.
What is this card?
There's a card that I got a bunch of. They're like business cards, but on them it says "Know Your Rights" in both English and Spanish. But there's also a website that I received. It says "Stop AAPI Hate," and I sent that to you on your email. And you can print out your own cards, use business card labels, and you can print it out in any language. So one side would maybe be English and the other could be Arabic or Farsi or even Haitian, which was a big deal in the debate and during the election. So everybody who's not white, blue-eyed, blonde is being affected by his deportation policy. And so I think people need to have this on hand to know that they have a right to an attorney.
There's no doubt that people who are even citizens are getting rounded up. I've read several articles already about ICE grabbing people who are legitimately here in the United States and taking them and deporting them. It's going to, and this is just starting. It's just starting. It's going to be a major. It's going to be a major push because that's one of Trump's big things. The immigration, from the wall to what he's doing now. So you're going to see a lot more of it. And I understand. I read an article that said a lot of farm workers are not showing up to work.
Yeah.
And if that's really true, then the crops are not going to get harvested. A lot are going to get rotted, and prices on produce is going to skyrocket. We'll have to wait and see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That was that I understood from the minute he talked about deporting everybody. I thought, oh well, I better grow my own garden.
Yeah.
And maybe raise my own chickens.
Well. Yeah, yes, everybody should grow their own garden and raise their own chickens in their apartment.
Exactly.
On the 22nd floor.
On their patio.
Hey, listen, I want to, we're talking about things that are going on that's getting crazy. There's an article in the Washington Post entitled Utah students barred from bringing banned books to school. And the article says, when Utah ordered schools statewide to remove more than a dozen books from libraries and classrooms in 2024, free speech advocacy groups criticized the measure as the most extreme in the country, and proponents celebrated what they called a bright day. The law aimed at removing sensitive material deemed pornographic or indecent under state code went into effect July 1st. That also means students are prohibited from bringing their own copies to campus, according to the new guidance from the Utah State Board of Education. These titles should not be brought to school or used for classroom activities, assignments, or personal reading while on school property. The books include, this includes books removed in a student's individual district, along with those triggering statewide bans by the 3 districts or 2 districts and 5 states. 15 books fall under the latter category, including Onyx and Crake by Margaret Atwood, Tilt by Aileen Hawkins, and 6 novels by Sarah J. Maas, including the entire A Court of Thorns and Roses series. Hey, Thorns and Roses. Does that ring a bell for you, Gregory?
Yes, it does.
How about that was the teenage drag queen titles that we had in Portland, Oregon. When I ran the nightclubs up there. But here's what's in it. I wonder if this is going to get students to read these books, because there's nothing that makes a young person
busy looking
want to
at
do
porn
something.
on their phones.
Oh, they're going to do that anyway. But I'm saying they may look for these books in particular because they are told you can't read them, and they're going to say, "Why can't I read that?"
Like you can't smoke cannabis, so we do it as a defiance. But I mean, think about this. They're not allowed to read this classic literature, but they can Google porn at the age of 2 years old.
Well, they can Google this literature too. The question is, they would never have probably looked at this literature except for the fact that it was banned. And then they're going to say, "Hey, why can't I read this?"
Considering look it the state of education, they probably never would have had a chance to see it. Sure.
Yeah. So
I know that when I was in school,
I'd like to make a comment about the immigration situation. I find it difficult to understand why our liberal friends are so dense and that they don't deal with this on a political level. It's one thing to have empathy for the fact that these people are being rounded up. But consider that Trump said he was going to export 10 million. Now, at 1,000 a day, it'll take him 30 years to do that. So he can't, to do 1 million is going to take him 3 years. He's not going to accomplish that. And it would be a much smarter attack on Trump to show the fallacy of his plan, the fact that it's completely incompetent, can't be achieved. Another thing that was brought to my attention earlier today, why didn't he start with the convicted felons that are in prison who are illegal immigrants? Why did he start by sending them out? That wasn't even considered by his administration. So there's so much stupidity going on. But I think it's fairly stupid, too, to try to, those who have empathy for these immigrants have it. And those who don't. So, I don't think we could change people when it comes to this situation. They have to change themselves. But what we can change is policy and actions on policy. He has a policy that cannot be accomplished. He cannot, and another thing, Lanny, and I've spoken to you about this before. The United States government's complaining about all these immigrants coming into the United States, but they don't tell us about all the United States citizens who are leaving the country. I think, based on my research over the past 2 years, I think that in the past 2 years, between 10 million and 30 million United States citizens have left this country. And that, in other words, far more have left the country than immigrants coming into the country, legal or illegal. And I believe that when we come to the 2030 census, it'll be released about 2032, for the first time in the history of the United States, we're going to see a decline in population in the United States. And there is nothing bigger red flag than that to say, this is not the greatest country in the world. And but our United States government won't tell us how many citizens are leaving the country.
Well, the United States has a negative birth rate right now, where the number of children that are being born are not enough to make up for the death rate. Immigrants would make up for that, but I totally agree with you. I think there are a lot of Americans who are leaving the country, and as far as I can tell,
millions of individuals are leaving this country. And while they may have different opinions from the left and the right, they're leaving this country for the same reasons. That's why I sent you those two YouTube videos earlier today. Anybody can do their own research on YouTube and see these videos. They're astounding.
And what are the names of these videos?
Well, one is by a guy who's a real capitalist and very much into money and doing it for money. And he's hold on a second, I've got it up on my Facebook. That's called the most corrupt country, or actually the name of the video is 15 Reasons to Leave the USA Forever by from nomadiccapitalist.com. And another from a left-winger is called How I View the U.S. After 12 Years Living Abroad. And those two leading videos are the best ones I've found. There's so many more that are made by expatriates who have gone overseas and lived in a variety of countries and love it and won't ever come back to the United States.
I have been to Mexico, in many different parts of Mexico, and almost everywhere there is expats, communities throughout Mexico living there. And it's got to be millions of people, Americans who are living in Mexico, expats. And I'm wondering if the government, if Trump is going to move to withhold Social Security payments from people who are not living in this country. It wouldn't surprise me.
That's not possible. That's not.
What do you mean it's not possible?
I mean, it's not possible. It's not.
Well, you can see where the money's being.
Because Social Security has always sent the money, no matter where it goes, no matter where you go throughout the United States, throughout the world.
They could stop it. They could issue an executive order saying you can't send money
altogether. He can't get by with a prejudice against citizens who've left the country while they're collecting Social Security. The reason people leave the country is because Social Security is so small. They can't live on it in the United States.
That's true. That's true.
That doesn't mean that Trump won't try to do that. I mean, one of the things that they're using as their technique is they're saying we're just going to go ahead and do it and see.
Oh yeah, it doesn't mean Trump won't try to do anything. He'll try to do everything he can get by with.
Exactly.
And unfortunately, the Democrats have let him get by with it. They had
Exactly.
a chance to enforce the law for the last 4 years, and they're also damn impotent and ineffectual that they didn't do what they should have done, or he'd be in jail instead of in prison instead of
That's right. Merrick Garland will forever be disgraced by the fact that he did not take actions against Trump during the first 2 years he was in office. He should have been prosecuting him, and Trump would have been in jail by now. But for some reason, Merrick Garland didn't do anything. Just unbelievable.
It's because all the different prosecutions are going on at the same time, and they were being and one delay after another. It's because the judicial system is a two-tiered system. The rich get by with murder. The poor go straight to prison.
Right.
But you know, there's one element. There's one element I think that has to be considered. A lot of people are being threatened, not only by Trump, but all the people that follow him, that would take up weapons and threaten people's lives and families and friends and all of that. So I think a lot of people don't do something because of that. Their careers can't be all that important that they're doing it for their career, especially the people in the Supreme Court. Nobody kicks them out. So there's another reason, and it's not just money and power. That can't be the only motivation. There has to be some fear involved. And these people,
Absolutely.
you know, they have.
What do you think else is? What do you think other? What do you think? What do you think is the other motivations, Linda, other than money and power?
Fear. Well, these people in power have access to the Army, the Navy, the military, the police, sheriff. They have all the people with weapons on their side. And what do we have?
Fear is a reaction.
We have good wishes.
A pro-action is what I thought you were referring to. Money and power is pro-action. People go to get it. Fear is reaction, running away from it.
Yeah.
And running away, fear is giving up the power. It's not utilizing the power.
One of the things that is very concerning to me is the weaponization of the Department of Justice and Trump going after his perceived enemies. And there's this article in the Washington Post that talked about how every president at some point during their administration chafes at the independence of the Justice Department. None have moved as swiftly or as definitively as President Trump to put the department firmly under his thumb. With brutal efficiency, Trump's underlings moved to execute that plan during his first week back in office. Now, with the firing of career lawyers who worked on the legal cases against the president, all the lawyers who worked on the cases against the president have been fired. The new administration has crossed a dangerous red line, retaliating against prosecutors for doing their job.
Yep.
So is that a surprise? This is what he said he was going to do.
I know. I was not surprised. Yeah. Trump's aides didn't hide their punitive motive. They flaunted it. Quote, "You played a significant role in prosecuting President Trump. The proper function of government critically depends on the trust superior officials place in their subordinates." James McHenry, the previously obscure department official now serving as acting attorney general, informed the prosecutors. Quote, "Given your significant role in prosecuting the president, I do not believe that the leadership of the department can trust you to insist in implementing the president's agenda faithfully." And it goes on.
Appropriate too, because they probably wouldn't, because they don't think he's a legitimate president.
Well, back during his first term, that's when a lot of things happened. He wanted to do these things, and he was foiled by a lot of the people who were in, the career public servants, and they're going to get rid of them this time, so they won't foil him.
I'm a little bit more worried about what he does with the military, because those are the people with the real power.
He's got his own military.
Well, yeah, but now he's got
January 6 people. The thing is, these are vigilantes. And when he puts out something that he wants to see happen, it'll start happening in micro form all the way around the country.
Yeah, and some of those January 6th people who got pardons have already made nuisances of themselves, threatening to go after the Democrats. And
they're organized.
I mean, what it's going to lead to is a civil war.
Well, listen, I'm going to wonder what's going to happen when we start seeing protests. The left, the Democrats haven't staged much in the way of protests. The Women's March wasn't that much this year compared to what they did in 2017. But if things start, problems start going, and there's big protests, Trump isn't going to put up with these protests, and he's going to send in the National Guard. He's going to get the local police. I mean, every single police union in this country endorsed Trump, and they're just chafing at the bit to go after these people who are anti-Trump and arrest them and beat them and put them in jail. And that's what's going to happen. It's going to be an amazing. It's going to be a very frightening thing, because he is not going to have
what Linda was saying though about fear. I think this is all designed to create a sense of fear.
Right. And it's paralyzing. And for Democrats, we tend to, we're not violent in that sense. They keep talking about Antifa or whatever, but most of us, we don't react that way. And so we're not prepared. And I think we need to be. I think we need to get every veteran who's anti-Trump, every former policeman we need to get some people who know how to fight on our side, because we're going to be, overwhelmed.
Well, Sam the other week was saying that everybody should get guns, right?
I wouldn't know. Yeah.
Sam,
I don't say that everybody should get guns, because there's a lot of people who got no business holding a gun.
Yeah.
But I do believe that and we'd be better off if we lived in a country like Britain and all of its colonies, where only the police held guns. But we can't trust the police in this nation. We can't trust.
Right.
So not everyone should get guns. But I think that every self-respecting left-wing bleeding heart liberal
that's me.
Should have a handgun at home for their own protection. And
remember Black Power?
If comes to their door, what are they going to do? Call the police? Because ultimately, if you're going to protect your own life, then you have to shoot first and answer questions later. Look, I've been saying this for decades, okay? The Republicans hate me for saying it because they've been playing by it forever. The Democrats hate me for saying it because they don't want to hear it. Politics is war. War is hell. The only rule is there are no rules except the ones you bring to the contest, and those rules can and will be suspended without further notice. It's a dirty job, but somebody has to do it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Then it's coming home.
Yeah,
it's finally coming home.
It's hard to hear.
I am totally, the Second Amendment says a well-regulated militia. You can't have guns as far as I'm concerned.
Or back completely out of it.
As far as I'm concerned, you can't have guns unless you're a member of a well-regulated militia. It's been misinterpreted. It said everybody can have guns.
Yeah.
And we have, 50,000 children. 50,000 children in this country die every year from guns. There's more children dying from guns than there is from car accidents now. More children die from guns than car accidents.
They die from crazy people who go into schools and shoot the guns up of all ages.
No.
The truth is, it's
Sam,
a physical fact, Lanny. People don't die from guns. They die from idiots who shoot them with guns.
No. That's like saying people don't die from car accidents. People die from people driving cars. It's the cars that are causing the problems, and the guns that are causing the problems. So, and the thing is, yes, we've had some horrible school
shootings. It's the people who have the guns that are causing the idiots with AK-47s who are deranged mentally.
No, we've had these school shootings.
I'm not protecting the idea.
No,
when the
Sam.
Constitution was written, everything was a single shot, a musket.
Sam.
It was not the repeating revolver or the AK-47. These things have no business in today's society.
Of course they don't, Sam. But the thing is, most kids are not killed by AK-47s. They're killed by guns in their homes. They're killed by rifles and by pistols and by that kind of stuff. And we don't have 50,000 kids killed in schools every year, but we do have 50,000 killed by guns in their own communities where they live and in their homes. And that's more than die from auto accidents. So
I do know that you're right, Lanny, about 50,000 kids. I mean, the gun violence being the leading cause of death for children. That's actually true, but I think it's a combination of both in schools and at home.
No. I'm not saying there isn't deaths in schools, but there isn't anywhere near a couple thousand deaths a year in schools. It's mostly in homes and in your communities outside of the schools. I don't mean to make light of the kids who are getting killed in schools, how dangerous, but I'm saying is a kid is much more likely to be killed by a gun outside of school than inside of school.
Yeah, but the bottom line is true. It is true. When you look that it is the problem. Guns are the problem in the United States. There's more guns than there are people in the United States. And you look at the statistics of people killed by guns. No other country comes near the United States.
That's right. That's absolutely
it's true.
Right.
What I think is an interesting part of that equation, Sam, is that there are more guns than there are people in the United States, but there is less of a percentage of people who own those guns than there are people who don't.
True. Well, we don't actually, I don't know about that, but the problem with the war on drugs is that American citizens buy AK-47s and then sell them for 10 times the price to the cartels. American citizens are the ones who are arming the cartels.
That's right. I mean,
the arms in the world are coming from here, almost.
Well,
so
Mexico,
you have all the money from the U.S. government going to the governments of Latin America. You have all the guns. You have all the money and guns going from the citizens of America to the cartels. And, so it isn't just a problem here in the United States. This has been exported all over the world. Well, the number one export of the United States is munitions. We make more munitions and export more munitions of all kinds, from little handguns to B-1 bombers, all over the world. That's the number one industry of the United States. That's why the government spends so much money on military.
There's very few other countries where they produce weapons. I mean, we're pretty much the central figure of the production of weapons and ammunition.
Okay, I'm going to have to make a correction to what I said here. About the number of kids who get guns. It's not 50,000 children a year. It's apparently 50,000 American citizens, with a lot of them are children. It says here.
30,000. It
says here in this story. It says for the third straight year, firearms killed more children and teens age 1 to 17 than any other cause, including car crashes and cancer.
I think it's all other causes, Lanny.
Yeah. The gun
all other causes combined.
It says here.
Cause.
Okay, but see, what's going to be done about it? What could be done about this? Let me tell you something. Back in the 90s, a group came to me and asked me if I would consider writing an initiative for a concealed weapon. And I wrote it. I wrote it for the NRA. And they wouldn't move forward with it because it was too restrictive. But it would have allowed an individual to carry a concealed weapon if they passed a test, if they had a psychological analysis, if they had training and proved that they were capable, every 3 years up to about the age of 50, every 2 years up to about the age of 65, and then every year after that. And that would allow the individual to carry a concealed weapon. But the NRA thought it was too restrictive, so they didn't move forward with it. Now, something like that, to me, even as reasonable as it is, they would not move forward with it. But because at that point and today, anyone can get a concealed weapon permit just by bribing a sheriff. Doesn't matter. You could be crazy. It doesn't matter. You don't have any background checks to keep you from getting it. It's all crazy, man. Yeah. It's all crazy.
Well, we got this country is gun crazy. And I was at the Quartzsite Gem and Rock show last weekend, and they had this huge big RV show there as part of the Quartz and Gem show, and we went through it, and I was shocked how many dealers for guns were at the RV show, and selling all kinds of guns and accessories and this kind of stuff. And this was an RV show. I don't know. I've never been to a gun show. That would be. Have any of you been to a gun show and seen what they were selling this thing? One of these days I've got to go and see what it's like.
I have. I've got a friend who made a living at them up until about 20 years ago. But the gun shows have become so restricted that there's not much money to be made in them anymore.
What do you mean restrictive? You can't sell the guns?
I mean, with that, yeah. There's here in California. California has some special laws.
Well, California. Yeah, well, that's one of the reasons I like living in California.
You go to Las Vegas still and see gun shows that are just basically wide open.
Yeah. Excuse me. So that's the thing that we got. Everybody can get guns, and it's made this country very, very unsafe. Canada, Canada talks about the fact that they have national health insurance, and they have restrictive gun laws, and that's one of the reasons they're saying you should move to Canada, because it's a healthier and safer country.
Because our Constitution's 250 years old, and every other country has learned from our mistakes. The United States, has not learned from its own mistakes. All the other countries have.
Well, this country's got a huge number of people that have become very powerful to defend their rights to have AK-47s. And the problem is the anti-gun people are not as politically powerful as the pro-gun people. And that's what, if they were, we would have restrictive gun laws. But they're not, so we don't. Not to mention
all these restrictive gun laws. What you need to do is join the NRA. Years ago, Aaron Sorkin wrote The West Wing, and he was talking about this, and he was saying if you really want to change gun laws in the United States, the NRA is composed of 2 million people. If 3 million liberals joined the NRA, the whole policy about guns in the United States would change tomorrow.
I love it.
He's right. Gregory's right. Back in the 90s, I did join the NRA. I joined it because I like to get in the enemy camp and see what's going on with the enemy. I attended a lot of California Republican Party conventions, and as long as they didn't know my last name, I could talk to these people. As soon as they found out my last name, they grab a crucifix and run away. But I could talk to them, okay? Because we got to, and this is the point, because it's not, I really don't see a bright future for this country anymore.
No.
Not at all. But the truth of the matter is, the future lies in the youth. It lies in what these children are going to do, what these teenagers and young adults are going to do about this. Because eventually, all of us old guys, we're going to die, all right? And Trump's an old guy. What's next? That's my question. What's next? And what's going to be done with it? I have no idea. Because to me, it does not look like the United States is headed towards a bright future. There's no more shining city on a hill.
Part of the reason is that because in the halls of power is mainly composed of old white people, and we're not even going to be here in the future that people are developing right now. I think we should be handing this stuff over to younger people, and whatever they do with it is really up to them. That's what we wish people would do when we were coming up. I mean, come on.
The thing is, young people supposedly, young males anyway, voted for Trump. And one of the reasons they voted for Trump, and I read was that they wanted cheaper gas because the gas was too expensive for them driving around. So they voted for Trump because Trump was going to have cheaper gas. And they voted for Trump because Trump was an alpha male, and that type of thing. And also how straight males used to be scared by gay people, they're afraid of, the gay thing. Well, now they're scared by trans people. And so there's this big reaction. The Republican Party spent almost a quarter of $1 billion advertising, trying to tie trans people to the Democratic Party. And it worked. A lot of, especially young males, Black, Hispanic, and white males, voted for Trump because of this fear of trans people, So,
and there's
whatever.
another dynamic here, too. And I think it has something to do with the fact that women are going to colleges and getting jobs that are more career oriented, and young males are finding, and it has a lot to do. They're finding they're more isolated. They're not as assertive. They feel unappreciated. It's kind of I see a whole lot of people talking about how young males are just on their computers, isolated. They don't make friends. They don't know how to connect with women or men or whatever their choices are. So they're, when they see this alpha male in Trump, they think he's like Big Daddy. He's like a good example to them.
You did point out, and it is true, that more women are graduating from college than men now.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And, so, that's just, that must be kind of, let's put it this way, kind of disempowering to certain young men, feeling that women are now doing better than they are. And it used to be just, this thing that men, I don't want to be, I'm so glad I'm a man and not a woman because they look at all the horrible lies. It's all being turned on its head now. I just hope that the women will take over more power. Although, white women voted for Trump too. Most white women voted. They had the majority of white women vote for Trump. So
that I'll never understand. I mean, he's so transparently bad.
How can you vote for a person that's talking about it's okay to grope your pussy? It's unbelievable. I mean, well, of course, again, a lot of these people in the red states and stuff were voting against their own, their own self-interest. Look at all the billionaires that are part of the Trump's team and cabinet and this kind of stuff. We have the richest, the most filthy rich people in control of this country than we have ever had, and that includes the Gilded Age back in the days of Rockefeller and Carnegie and this kind of stuff. Rockefeller and Carnegie are pikers in a way compared to what we have nowadays running the country. And these oligarchs, and Trump is the whole thing is he's making money. Have you read this thing about the Bitcoin thing that he's doing right now?
Yeah,
He's going to make lots of money. He's appointing regulators to regulate the industries that he's going to make lots of money off of. It's incredible, and people don't seem to care. At least not
there used to
people
be,
support him.
Well, you got to take into consideration that with Donald Trump, he is exceptional at propaganda and has formed a cult. He's gotten the support of religious leaders who they have actually convinced Christians that Donald Trump is a Christian, which is insane.
Well, No. I think Trump is the epitome of what a Christian is like. To me, that's always been. I've never had much respect for Christians. They talk about helping the poor and all this kind of stuff, and that's just all talk for the most part. There's a few committed ones, absolutely true, but most of them, it's the gospel of a prosperity gospel.
Prosperity gospel, yeah.
Prosperity again. That's what's Jesus is going to help you get
Lanny,
rich.
We're in a vacuum here with blinders on because that's only happening in the United States. Catholics and Protestants in other nations are far more charitable than here in the United States, and the reason is because here in the United States it's all about money. It's all about money, not about people. There are plenty of nations and cultures throughout the world that have not become as jaded and as greedy as this nation is. So
Well,
it's, I mean, we're talking about the United States, but that's Christians in the United States. While there are Christians all over the world who are doing really charitable things. And I'm not promoting Christianity at all. I'm just saying that this
got Mark live with you.
endemic of financial motivation using the Bible and the church as financial motivation is unique to the United States.
I guess so. To be honest with you, I'm not. I have read a lot about where in South America, the Catholic Church is losing people to the evangelical religions there, and I think part of that has to do with prosperity gospel that's going on down there. Maybe it's taking longer for it to work its way down south, but I think it's prosperity gospel and everything.
I haven't seen any TV or radio preachers there that are like the ones here in the United States.
And could be. I haven't
yet seen it. Doesn't mean it doesn't exist. But in all the time I've spent there and all the research I've done, it all comes back to the United States.
Yeah, I don't see a lot of Spanish-speaking media because I don't speak the language. So
we've got 2 minutes left, and we got somebody online. Just call in. Hey, caller, you've got 60 seconds. What's on your mind? I guess nothing's on his mind. Hello? I got this message. Yes. Hi.
Hello?
Who is this?
This is me, Sam. I'm trying to get them to say hello.
Well, whoever it is, I'm glad you called in. Maybe you got going. Anyway, listen, we've only got about 3 minutes left. Gregory, Sam, Linda, do you have anything you want to say for about 60 seconds before we get off the air? Gregory, it looks like you have something.
Check in with me on YouTube, The View from Out Here. GL Franklin, there's a whole bunch of stuff that kind of goes along with what we were talking about tonight. So, yeah, come and check me out.
Check out Gregory on YouTube. All right. Linda.
I would say, I would recommend that people refresh themselves with news from abroad, because as much as I agree with MSNBC and CNN, they are the left-wing echo chamber. It's all left-wing politics in America. There's no real news from the rest of the United States. And it's the same, it's even worse on Fox News because it's all right-wing. And if you rise above this, if you transcend it, look at the BBC. I've been watching the BBC network more than anything else recently, and they're giving real news about the rest of the world. Open your mind, open your sphere of influence, and look for information from sources other than the United States media.
Linda, any last words?
No, just don't give up hope and keep talking to Lanny.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, we'll keep it on. And I want to thank Linda for calling in. I want to thank Gregory and Sam for joining us on the show. I want to thank all the listeners who are listening to our show. If you want to write me, you can send an email to rnlanny@aol.com. Very simple. rnlanny, Lanny, @aol.com. I'd love to hear from you. So until next week, this is Lanny Swerdlow on Lanny Sense saying, remember, KCAA is the radio station that leaves no listener behind, and Lanny Sense is the show that leaves no gender behind. Good night.